Right, let's go live. Let's go live. It's just gone midnight on now Thursday, the 5th of March. And I can't believe this is the first one of these this year after a run of doing live streams, kind of getting into the swing of it. Last year, now I've had a break from doing it, not intentionally, just traveling around meant that the internet wasn't quite as stable when we were in Thailand, for example, and now we're back in KL, or we're in Petaling Jaya, which is a different city from KL, but we're here. And so hopefully this is all working. Anybody that's already here can let me know in the chat. I'm reading it. But let me kick off by just quickly saying thank you to all of the people who have joined Patreon so far. You guys supporting this channel can help make all of this work. And over on Patreon, I go a little bit deeper on all of these kind of topics that I cover. So earnings and stocks and shares and platforms that I use and all of those kind of things. So I just wanted to start by saying thanks to everybody that's already joined me on that platform. Right. So let's talk about life. Let's see what's going on. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I tried to make this as time friendly as I could, given the time difference. So wherever you are, hello Brian, welcome Kevin, Victoria, Omar, how you doing? Good afternoon in London. I hope I don't know what the weather's like back in the UK. Good evening, Julie in Spain. It's been we're still kind of in rainy season here in Malaysia, but it's been super hot the last number of days. It's kind of been like 32, 33 degrees. Hey, Scott, welcome, mate. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. It's been like 32, 33 degrees. Let me start by telling you a little bit of a funny story. Yvonne's just sitting over on the bed over there relaxing, and she'll get annoyed when I tell you this, but just a little bit of humour, right? Yvonne and I are back in an apartment block, and there's a swimming pool on the roof, and some days I go to the gym and Yvonne goes to the gym, and some days she goes to the swimming pool. She's been wearing this kind of like swimming costume at the front with a bit cut out the back of it. And she sat out there a couple of days ago, probably just a touch too long. And when we got back to the room, she had this like Umbro badge on her back, like bright red, kind of like a lava lamp, you know, the shape of a lava lamp, right? Kind of looked like she had leaned against a lava lamp and it had burned the skin. So it's been a couple of days of just like trying to tone that tan mark down a little bit, but it's been hot here in KL or in Malaysia, 32, 33 degrees, but still with the occasional rainy shower every now and then. But it's nice. You know, when I think about when we first moved here, right? Took me a bit of time to adjust to the temperature. Like, just I felt like I was really hot all the time, and now I just kind of really enjoy the heat. I mean, it's still hot, and we don't spend a lot of time out in it, right? We don't go out and sit like all day. We don't treat it like you're on holiday sitting at the pool or at the beach. We get a bit of relaxation, we get a little bit of sunshine, and from there, we just enjoy the weather. But I'm adjusting to it as a Scot. I'm adjusting. I don't even know. Well, it's late at night, right? So I don't have a lot of lights in here. I don't even know. Do I look like I've got a tan? Do I look like a Scottish person with a tan? I don't know. You can tell me. All right, I can see questions filing in already. Let's see what Thierry's saying. Selling your own personal possessions, you paid tax on it. I would get my money back, John. I don't know where that concept this came from. I didn't pay tax on it. I haven't actually done my end of year tax review yet. I will be submitting that at the end of this month once we move into April. I don't intend on paying any tax on any of that. I sold my own personal possessions. The video that I think you're probably referring to is the one where I talked about the tax, and it's because I was disclosing to the tax office that I'd left and had received a large amount of money from platforms that are already reporting you. So eBay and Vinted. Oh, I don't know if you saw this, right? But do you know that eBay has just put in a bid to buy Vinted? They're actually buying the platform. eBay is making redundancies just now. I think something like 800 members of staff are getting let go because eBay is struggling. And another stock that I own, GameStop, is heavily rumored to maybe be going to buy eBay, which would be quite fascinating. Who knows? But anyway, just to clarify that point, Thierry, I didn't pay any tax. I haven't even got to that part of the process yet. Um, haven't got that far down the line. I don't intend on paying any tax on that. It was personal possessions. However, because of the value of the items and the money that I received from eBay, the tax office will have been notified. They're buying Depop. You're right. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for clarifying that. You could see why I could get mixed up with that, right? Depop and Vinted. You know, those are both platforms I used. Before I decided to sell everything, I was actually buying a few things on Depop, especially from America. I quite liked some of the old like vintage band t-shirts that I could find. And I tried using it to sell some of my stuff when I decided to kind of clear things out. But I didn't have a lot of success with Depop, whereas Vinted things were moving much quicker. Thanks for that, Action Lax. Thanks for clearing that up for me. Yeah, eBay are just, I mean, I do think about, you know, if GameStop, you can have a look at this online, right? It's been speculated in the last few days, whether anything comes of it, who knows? But I do wonder what that will be like if GameStop buys eBay and how they can turn that platform round. I think it's heavily linked to the fact that GameStop now is heavily involved in trading cards, so like Pokemon and sports cards, and that's a big market on eBay in America. So it's got a nice tie-in to both of those companies. But let's kind of see how that all plays out. Yeah, so just on the tax thing, right? Just to kind of cover a little bit on that, I watched a great video a couple of days ago. Somebody sent it to me to say, "Hey, you should have a think about this." Some of the content that was in it. A mate of mine from Ireland, Steve, if you ever get round to seeing that, thanks for the video. And it was about how the tax office knows if you've left the country, right? And it's like, it was talking about how you might fill in the documentation, but there was things that they track. It was quite interesting. It was talking about like, there was two things that stuck out to me. One was about checking the passport office about you coming in and out of the country. Like the tax office could check your passport records, which I thought was quite fascinating, especially when you think about everything that goes on in Britain, right? We can check citizens coming in and out, but on other occasions we can't. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. But it was talking about the tax office checking as to whether you were coming in and out of the country and how long you were in and out of the country for, as to whether you had truly left. Now, obviously, we haven't been back since we left in September, but you never know. And the second part that they were talking about was tracking your bank account information and where you spend money. Now, obviously, I'm using mainly Revolut here, and I don't really touch my other cards. I have money in them, but I don't really touch them or use them while we're traveling. So all of my expenditure is being done internationally. So there was a couple of points on there. But when it comes to tax, I get asked this all the time, right? But what about your earnings? I was made redundant last year. So I didn't actually really have any earnings. And then obviously I made a video talking about what I made on YouTube and what I made from stocks, trading, cash secured puts, options, right? Most of that money came like there's a, what is it, £12,000 allowance tax free before you move into the first tax bracket. Well, if you look at YouTube, right, I made £8,000 last year on YouTube. So I didn't trigger into any tax threshold, but I did, however, have capital gains from my stock trading. But again, I didn't actually do most of that until September onwards. I didn't do it in the first half of the year, and we left in September. So I've got records, right? So when it comes to when I do my tax return after the end of this month, right, when it gets into April and we're into next tax year, and I sit down with my accountant in the UK and I do my tax return, I'll be confirming I made this much on eBay, I made this much on Vinted, but it was personal possessions sold to leave the country. I terminated the lease of my property on this date, and I've got a letter from the landlord who we handed the keys back to confirm. I don't own any other property in the UK. I don't have a car. I don't have any major possessions in storage in the UK. There's no furniture anywhere. I'm not renting out a property on Airbnb, so there's nothing there on that side of it. I don't have any family in the UK that's immediate. I don't have any children that's in the UK. Yvonne is here. My wife is here. And these are all things that are part of the, is it called the situational residence test? I think that's what it's called, SRT. So those are the points that they'll take you through to confirm that you've left the country. And then any earnings that I've made have been outside of the country, right? Outside of the UK, traveling. So, there's a lot of individual details to all of this. But when I went through this video that a mate sent me, I was like, every point that the person raised about have you truly left the country and these are the tax implications, every bit of it is exactly what I've talked about on these videos in this channel. Every one of them, I was like, tick, yeah, I don't have a house. Tick, yeah, I don't have any immediate family there. Tick, I don't have a job in the UK. I haven't had any earnings in the UK. Like my YouTube channel earnings are from America. It's Google, right? It's paid into a British bank account, but it's not earned in the UK. And then, of course, the question will come, but well, what about tax in Malaysia? Well, I'm not a resident here, which is the first part. But if I do become a resident here, Malaysia doesn't tax international earnings for foreigners. So if I apply for a 1-year visa to live here, they do not tax your international earnings as long as it doesn't come into the country. So let me just clarify that. If I make money on YouTube and I deposit the money from YouTube into a Malaysian bank account, that is taxable. If I deposit the money into a British bank account or an American account or whatever else, that is not taxed in Malaysia. So anyway, I'm 12 minutes in. How have we ended up this deep in already? Let me go through a couple of the comments. Nicola, thanks. Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks for watching. I met this girl in September and we started talking. I adopted her, my big sister. That's very cool. Very nice of you to do that. Omar, how's it going? Really enjoying the channel. Super motivating. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Have you considered covering subjects, healthy food diets, methodology, future apartments? Great question. And look, let me state this, right? I'm still a relatively small channel. I typically get like 2,000 views, 3,000 views on a video. And I try and make those videos like quite kind of like big topics. And big topics, I mean like apartment review and that kind of thing. And I get like 2,000, 3,000 views. Sometimes I spike to like 10,000. So when I get asked more niche questions like this, I answer these specifically on Patreon, right? So on Patreon, I can make a very quick video, talk about a subject, post it, and it's done. I don't do much editing on there. I just grab my camera like this and talk. And so the members that are on there, when they have very specific topics, like, could you tell me a little bit about this on YouTube? Or could you tell me which platform you trade stocks on? I just grab my phone and answer it. And I don't need to process it the way I do on YouTube because like when I made videos last year, right, towards the end of the year, there was a lot of comments where people were like, too numbers driven, too focused on this, too focused on that. And I realized that, if you think of a niche, I was niching down within a niche and I was frustrating people. So trying to find the balance of delivering a topic that's high level enough. So I look at it like this. YouTube is like the high level, and then Patreon is like the nitty gritty, like the detail of all of that. Now, let me also say, when you're asking about like hotels and things, I take a lot of the content that I make and I try and turn it into things. So on Friday of this week, I'm giving away a 27-page document that talks about how to apply for a visa here, like an MDAC or a TDAC when you go to Thailand or you come to Malaysia, how to apply for it, how to get a SIM card. the hotels that we've stayed in, the reviews, even things like what was the noise like in those hotels. What I've trawled through all of the videos. I've gone through all of the scripts. Like I've taken out the dialogue from each of the videos and turned it into text. And I'm giving that away on Friday. People that are in the Patreon have already got it. I gave it away on Monday it's a free download, but members of the Patreon get it. And on Friday, to any newsletter subscriber, and I always put my newsletter in the description down below. I'll give that away. I'll ship it out, and yep, you can have a read through. So I cover a lot of that content again, like just talking about. We in one of them we talked just about the noise factor, like how noisy is an apartment, things like that. And in the past, I've made PDF documents about health. I'm doing a 28-day challenge just now. Started this Friday coming will be 2 weeks, and I kind of showed what condition I was in. And on Friday of this week, I'll give a bit of an update, and I've been tracking like how many steps I'm doing, what I'm eating, like just like, I'm not trying to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not trying to get a six pack. I'm just trying to be healthy. And having gone through ill health last year with like the kidney stone and the hospital and everything else, I'm trying to turn a corner with all of that and feel a bit healthy. Hey, Redwan, hello from Bangladesh. Wow, hello. I hope my accent conveys to you in Bangladesh, and you don't need subtitles from a Glaswegian accent. Marina, when you started doing the canal walks in the early days and you decided to leave the UK already, or did you have an idea growing? Oh, yeah, and that's a really good question. Yvonne and I were kind of faced with like two challenges, and this would be so last year, the channel started in January. First video was on the canal, right? But if I go back the year before, 2024, right, the year that my dad passed away, which was like a big force there, right? That was May. And then I went back to work in August, and I just wasn't feeling good about it all. And then I had then came redundancy and everything. Talking about these things always sticks in my throat a little bit. Going back to work, I immediately kind of knew at that point that I just didn't really want to do that job. Now, before my dad passed away, Yvonne and I had talked about moving back to Scotland. We had talked about moving back just to be closer because I could tell my dad was becoming unwell and things were changing a little bit. And I was worried about him. I was worried about his health. And I kind of felt at the time that it was maybe because he was living alone. And so I thought, if we move back and we just spend a bit of time and we're nearby, maybe that might pick him up a little bit. And there was one night that I spent at my dad's house where it was like a test. Right now, Scottish people, we have a bit of a way to us, right? We're cynical, sarcasm. Glass is always half empty for Scottish people, and the weather never helps. And every time I would ask my dad anything about doing, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? His immediate answer was always no, would just be a straight up no. And then he would think about it, and then he would say yes. And the night that I was at his house, that I thought there was a test, I brought this up about Yvonne and I moving back to Scotland. And Yvonne and I had been looking for houses at that point. We'd kind of already made a bit of a decision on this, that we might move back home. And I said to him, if Yvonne and I moved back to Scotland, would you consider moving in with us? And it was the first time in a conversation in a long time he said yes straight away. And I was like, something's not right here. And when I went to bed upstairs, Yvonne was already in bed. I told her, and she was like, yeah, something's not right. But anyway, we had started to think about that. And then obviously he passed away, and that completely changed the view for us, changed the idea, the concept. Now, we did float the idea for a bit about buying his house, and that didn't work out between me and the other executors. We couldn't really agree on it. And it was probably for the best, because I was doing that, considering moving back to Scotland, still thinking I had a job at the time to kind of fund moving to the house and doing things that we wanted to do in it. And then immediately that played out that the job was going to go as well. And I was like, well, this doesn't sound like it's all working in the way that we thought. And also in the middle of all of that, we had talked about maybe buying a camper van and going traveling or just trying to find a different way to live. And then we started to explore moving out of the country and trying to find a cheaper way to live, which would be, Southeast Asia was coming up as a really viable option where we could potentially make money just last longer and take this break from work. And by break, I mean, like, I didn't really want to go back, but I was trying to be realistic about the situation as well and say, well, if this was a break for a year or 2 years, just to give ourselves time away, we would do that. And then it started to become a bit more like, well, what if we could make it last longer? So when I started the canal videos, I didn't really have a plan, to be honest. I mean, I had an idea that we wanted to get out of there, that we wanted to sell things and take this break in Avon to apply for the sabbatical. But it all kind of materialized and gathered pace as we were getting into the months and starting to make those things happen. So um, it was always the idea that we would certainly be out of Northampton, where we'd been for like 13 years. And then from there, we would decide, like, if we traveled and we didn't like it, we would probably go home to Scotland or see what came out of all of that. So, like, I think sometimes there's maybe this expectation that you have like this long-term plan of like where things are going. And sometimes we just don't. We're just kind of also winging it a little bit. I'll say this, when I started the channel, I mean, there wasn't like having a Patreon, doing consultation calls, writing documents, doing 27-page how to travel. None of that was in my mind. None of that was in my mind. That's all just kind of materialized out of living it. Do you know, I'll say this, right? After like 31 years in a job where you're always in a structure, where you're always like, there's always the CEO, there's always a CFO, you're following a you're following a plan. You're listen to people who know that have followed this channel. Do you know who's calling me today? Who started calling me? Northampton Hospital. Yes, because they might have just found an appointment for me. How long's that been? Wild. But going out of a job, right, has given me so much mental space to create all of this other stuff that I would never have been able to do in a job. And I know that's easy to say when you're kind of in it, right? But see people that are in their like 40s and 50s and maybe redundancies coming round, or you'll have no idea until you get to the other side what you're capable of if you've been in that structure. Because it's amazing what's kind of just came out of my head in the last, like the channel, the content, the way it's developed, and then doing all of these other tasks. And Yvonne's kind of doing a little bit of that now as well. And we've got some stuff to share in the coming days about things that she's been working on now that she's kind of gone through a redundancy. But being able to be creative, because see, when I was doing the job and you're just working every day and then you finish work and then at night you're like, I've earned this break. I just need to sit and relax and put TV on. There's just not enough time to think about, when I think about people that have a business on the side as a full-time career, I can only like be amazed at all of that. So now that I've got all this kind of time, I'm being super creative. I've now got 2 YouTube channels, and I'm making content for both, and I love it. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, and Marina, who was kind of asking like the initial question, you're in the Patreon page, right? You see the content that's going in there. I make those as well because I love being able to just grab my phone and talk about something and share it and post it and then move on. Omar, that is absolutely wild. I can't believe you've just done that. Thank you so much for that. That's an insane donation that you've just put in there. That's just paused me for a second on this stream. So thank you so much, Omar. Incredibly generous, and I don't know what to say. Yeah, the NHS is broken, trying to even get a dentist. Look, I find this a struggle to talk about, right? Because I don't want to annoy people who are like, oh, everybody bashes on the NHS. I can only tell you from my own experience that it didn't go well, and I didn't have a good experience, me personally. That's not to speak on behalf of everybody else. You know, it depends where you are in the country, what the demand is like. But I mean, Victoria, who's in this chat, right, sends me messages, sends me emails, sent me one the other day about people waiting 22 hours. And I know those are the shock headlines, but it's kind of what you're seeing, like kind of what I'm seeing, right? Wage slave London, my share of the rent is now 1,200 a month, going up. Wow. Your share of the rent is 1,200 a month. Do you know, let me tell you, I try and always be honest when I have these conversations, right? And share what it's like making content and some of the feedback. I put a post up on Instagram. Now, my Instagram page a week ago, 1 week ago, I had 400 followers on Instagram, right? And my average post got about 300 to 400 views, right? 300 to 400 views. And I think the highest I ever had was when I met Adam, a guy who's an English guy who lives out here in Penang and was in KL. We did a little photo, and everybody was joking that he was a bit familiar because he had his hand around my waist and all that, right? And we kind of looked like he was like my wee brother and I was his big brother. That post had like 900 views on it. So I made a quick video when I was at the swimming pool, and I said that my council tax in Northampton was £280. And the apartment we stayed in January was £290. And the reason I'm bringing that back, see that 1,200 quid, that's what our rent was in Northampton for the house, 1,200 quid. That's what triggered in my head. Now, see when I made the little video, right, it was like 40 seconds. I just said, see now I've left the UK, 280 quid council tax versus 290 quid for an apartment. That post just a couple of days ago has had 1 million views. 1 million views. And it has been quite overwhelming to just look at, to just deal with, right? Because I can't even look at the comments because it's like I've been accused of dodging tax, that I've ran away from the country, that I'm a traitor, that I've blamed immigration for the council tax comment, that I don't pay my way for services. And then, right, that's the negative. And then there are people who are like, good on you, tell me more. Where are you? See, when I made the video, I didn't even tell them where I was because I didn't even think about it. I just thought I'm talking to like 300-400 people. And now 1 million people have looked at it. And you never kind of expect something like that's going to happen. And when when that happens, you're like, I don't really know. You're not really, there's no training to handle 1 million people's opinions on something, right? And that's been quite like wild for the last couple of days to kind of look at. And I never even got the chance to, like, I didn't even say in the video, like, my rent was 1,200 quid, the council tax was 280, my gas and electricity was 180, my internet was 50. And all I was trying to say in it was, but I pay 290 quid here, and I get the internet, I get electricity, I get 2 swimming pools, a gym, all of that included. And even in the replies, people were like, are you dumb? You're comparing council tax to rent. And I'm like, I mean, do you not get the point? that council tax for a service in the UK is a tenner cheaper than a whole apartment in Malaysia. That was it. That was all I was making. That's all I made the video for. And but I think I've now gained, like, I think there's like 3,500 subscribers or something on the page. I never really set out, again, I didn't have a plan to like have a Instagram page and do all of this. I was just kind of posting fun pictures of Yvonne and I and having a little bit of a different side from the serious topics that we kind of cover here on YouTube, because I'm normally talking about numbers and rent and apartments and all of those kind of things. And then suddenly that comes up, and it's just wild to like see people's opinions on all of that kind of stuff. There was one guy put a post up that was like, you've basically evaded paying for the police, the fire service, and this and that. Put this massive list. And I'm like, your council tax doesn't pay for all of that, mate. I think you're totally missing the point here. And without me even saying anything, the comments coming back to that comment, I was just like, wow, that's eye-opening. Right, let me skip back a little bit just so I can say. So wage slaved in London, right? I'm guessing your share is in London. That's just, I mean, that's wild, right? This apartment that I'm in now was £340 for this month. And it's got the gym, it's got the pool. We're loving it. People were like, no way you get those prices, no way. And I'm like, yeah, you just go onto booking.com and they're there. Like, they'll change every month. But GD Math, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thanks. That's exactly what we'll do with it, is we'll get a coffee with it. We went to a little place near the apartment tonight, and it was called Secret Recipe. And we went in, Secret Recipe. We went in, and we've been eating so well. And we went in, and I had a little bit of cake. Can you see that? Look at that. That's a real treat. A little bit of chocolate cake. So we had chicken satay skewers, 2 really nice fresh juice drinks, 2 slices of cakes, and then we had a little tiny tart, little cream tartlet that went along with it. And it was like £8. You know, to the London person, you go into Pret, right? You order 2 bits of cake, 2 drinks. You're like, that'll be £26, please. 2-bedroom apartment, zone 2, 2,400 quid. You know, I think back often to when we had moved to Northampton, and for a while we talked about going to live in London, and I'm so glad we didn't. I mean, the commute, I've covered a video on this, right? And again, the response to people on that, but over 7,000 quid, 7,000 quid for a train ticket to go to London from Northampton, 50 minutes. Victoria, what's your reply going to be to Northampton Hospital? Do you know, see, when I was setting this up, right, I always like to show you like how I'm doing these shows, right? Got this little microphone, right? And then Yvonne's reading this book called Chaos, which is very, very good. And then I've got the box from this smartphone that I bought. That's my setup. That's my podcasting on the road setup. So Yvonne's reading, but I was setting this up. I was plugging the microphone in and I was checking things, and then the phone rang. Now, and let me just quickly say, Tickety Boo, thank you so much. That's amazing. That's like a dinner for Yvonne and I on a night out. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tickety Boo. My phone rang, and I saw it was a Northampton number. Now, 2 things have been happening this week. I've been getting text messages from the local garage asking me about MOT in the car that I don't have. You're just in a database, right? And it's like, oh, it's coming up to April. You need your car MOT'd. So I've been getting text messages from them. And when my phone rang, and I thought, that's going to be the auto garage. So I just ignored it. And then Yvonne's phone started ringing 2 seconds later, Jenny, how you doing, pal? It's nice to see you. I saw your name flash up a minute or two ago. And then Yvonne's phone started ringing and she ignored it. And then she went on and did a search and it came up Northampton Hospital. And I thought, that's me finally got an appointment. It's been 1 year. For those following along with the kidney stone debacle, I passed the kidney stone on the 14th of February. It was part of my case with the insurance company, was that I had a photograph of it in. It was actually in Yvonne's hand, and people will be like, what? It was in Yvonne's hand? Yeah, because I got it, and then Yvonne was like, keep that, the doctors will need to see that. So I had a photograph of I'd taken it, and I had that timestamp, and that was part of my case with the insurance company. The case is still going on. For those that know this story, I have now filed for episode 2 to challenge on the repayment. From the £13,000 that I've paid out, I've received 5 back, and now I'm challenging on the last part, just if you're interested. Yes, Jenny, tartlets. It was what was it? Cookies? Oreos. It was an Oreo tartlet cream with an like not a full size Oreo biscuit, a little Oreo biscuit in the middle of it. So let me see. How have we got to yoga? Have I missed something? I've never done yoga. Yvonne does a bit of yoga. Duffer Travels. Hello, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm John. Nice to meet you. And I haven't done one of these, so you kind of need to work your brain a little bit to just come on and chat a little bit and tell a few stories and things. So 1 million views on Instagram. That's a freaky moment. Quite fascinating. If you're interested in following me on Instagram and seeing that post, it's at John Talks About, same as it is on this YouTube page. And if anybody's came across from there, I make regular YouTube videos and I try and share everything that that happens having left the UK, the experiences, the ups, the downs, the emergency medical treatment situations, should they ever arise, booking apartments, how we do it, how much it costs, and how I earn money, having gone redundant to just trying to figure out how I can bring a little bit of cash in from doing YouTube videos. And as I mentioned earlier, I've now got 2 channels and monetized the other one last year. Let me tell you something that might be encouraging for those that are thinking about doing a channel. I make videos for this one, right? And I do that like 3, 4, 5 times a week, just whenever I'm kind of like, I'm feeling like, right, I've got something I can put out. See, on the other channel, I monetized it last year, about July, and I found myself completely paralyzed to make another video. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't find... I had an idea in my head of something and I just couldn't make it happen because I felt I put so much pressure on myself to deliver it in a certain way that I was completely paralyzed to just do it, to just talk about something. And then this week, it's about music, by the way, which is something I absolutely love, but I just couldn't figure out how to do the thing that I wanted to do. And then this week, a story came up about Metallica playing in Las Vegas. Something else that I've been trying to figure through. But I made a video about that, and it's done really well. It's had like 40,000 views or something. So that's earned a little bit of extra money, and it's got me over the hump of like just doing something. And now I'm kind of in the swing of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this is good. Right, let's see what else we got. McTav, well, when I take the call, I'm going to presume that I've got an appointment for the hospital, so I'm going to need to fly back to the UK in order to take that Northampton appointment I've been waiting a year for. I'm also packing in life in London and retiring to KL in August. Good for you, 57 young. 57 young. Have you been here before to KL? Have you been out in Malaysia? Are you familiar with the place? Are you ready for the heat and the humidity? I love it. I absolutely love the heat. Get in the swimming pool, you'll be fine. What else have we got? What's your other channel called, John? I'm interested about that. I'll put details down on the description after I've finished this one, and you can have a little look. I mainly talk about like Metallica and rock music and all that kind of stuff. I've had that other channel for years, never made it monetized. And then when I started this one, I took the learnings from this one and monetized it with like one or two videos, I think, talking about Oasis. That's the kind of stuff I put out on there, and that's just like a different hobby. But it's just, again, it's just like bringing in a little bit of income here and there, right? That's all you kind of need to do. Duffer Travels, would you recommend trying to make money with options as you do, or is it difficult? You kind of need to have a bit of money to start, right? I mean, and the question will always be, how much money do you need to start? I really focus on one stock. I talk about them all the time. It's a company called SoFi, which is a bank, right? So I'm using that as an example so that I can tell you how much money you need to start. When you write an options contract, if it's a cash secured put, you write you can write a contract or multiple contracts, but each contract has to be for 100 shares. So when you have to put money up to sell the contract, you have to have the equivalent of 100 shares in value. So for SoFi, which today is trending at $19, that would be $1,900 you need to write the contract. I will sometimes write 2 or 3 contracts at a time, sometimes more, sometimes like 5, and I put the money up for that. So how much would you need to do all of this? A couple of grand, $10,000 would give you a good, comfortable position to start. That might be a lot of money. It's a lot of money to me. So that's kind of where you need to start. Can you make money from it? Yes, absolutely. It's a way that a lot of people fund lifestyles. How much? The kind of like bit of a rough idea is like 2 to 3% of your money is pretty good going. 2 to 3% per month. So maybe 12% in the year would be a good return. But it takes a little bit of knowledge and understanding. It doesn't take a lot of work because I typically write contracts like 30 days or 60 days, and then I just leave it and then return back to it. Like the last video that I made, I only wrote or only closed one in February for £127, and I didn't do anything else. But I have multiple others that are running for April, May, June. So if they continue on the way that they're looking now, I'll bring in some decent money from those over those next couple of months. Again, I'm not trying to go like constantly mention it, but on the Patreon page, I cover all of this. I talk about what options contracts I've got, what happens when I get exercised, when I have to spend the money on the stocks and shares, what I think about that, why I'm buying a particular company, what I see in that company and why I'm doing that. That's all in there. And I just keep the YouTube stuff to the kind of high level, which is like, this is what I've brought in. But I think it's really good to diversify, right? YouTube gives me a little bit of money. The second channel will bring in a little bit of money. I make these documents that we give away, which really helps as well. You know, I make a few quid from those when I do them. Other times I'm working on one. So Friday, I'll give away the travel document as part of the email subscriber list. So if you subscribe to the email newsletter, I send that out once a week. And it's generally just a little bit more of my thought process around life and booking places and hospitals and all those kind of things. I'll give that document away on Friday. The next one that I'm working on is like an options strategy document. Like, how do these options work? So like what's the book like Microsoft for Dummies, Excel for Dummies, something like that, to just kind of explain it a little bit more in a written form. So I'm going to work on that next and share that down the line. How old? Oh, my throat just went super dry there. Sorry. How to travel. Hey, John, what have you done phone-wise? How have you traveled before? We turn our UK sim. So I have a gift account to maintain my UK number, which is £6 a month. And I buy data from Revolut the rest of the time. I I bought a Malaysian telephone number and then I didn't install it quickly enough and the card lapsed. So I keep saying to Yvonne, we need to go to the mall and get ourselves two cards. And I'm trying to remember the name of the company that I was going to sign up with. Maxis, yeah. Comes through this app called Hotlink, Maxis. So I'm going to sign up to them because we've been going back and forth to Thailand and you can actually use their data and transfer over. So I'm going to use that. But for now, I'm using giffgaff to maintain my UK number. And I use Revolut and I buy like 3 gig of data, which is like a couple of pound a month. And that's all I'm doing. I haven't organized a Malaysian number, but I will. It's just laziness, right? I tend to find there's only so many things you can deal with at a time. Like over the last couple of months, I had a lot of people asking me, like, why are you not going and doing this? And why you need to get out and see that. And the whole time I was fighting this legal battle with the insurance company. When I took the break, for those that have been following the whole way through, I took a 9-day break at Christmas, didn't make any videos, stopped on New Year's Eve, and then I reposted on the 9th of January, which was my birthday to celebrate when the channel actually started last year. And see, in the 9 days, do you know what I did for the 9 days? I sat in the Thai hotel and built the documentation to challenge the insurance company, and it worked. Now, see, when this is finished with the insurance company, I will make a video. I'll name the insurance company. I'll talk about exactly what happened. And also, I'm going to tell you and I'm going to give you the information exactly how I fought it and how I managed the whole thing. I'm going to explain it all so that if anybody ever has this kind of thing again, that you have the tools that you can go and challenge this. Because it was such a learning experience going through all of that. Global passport guy, hi John, arrived in KL 2 days ago. What a place, isn't it? I messaged you about staying in Paxton. Are you staying in Paxton? Are you in there? I remember you messaging me about it. Did you pick there or are you in KL? You know, KL, Kuala Lumpur, Paxton's in Petaling Jaya. They're 2 cities side by side. I didn't know this. Somebody told me about it recently. But we would go out in the city at night and it's like Blade Runner. It's just so futuristic. I mean, it has its, you go to some areas, right? They're rough. It's like everywhere. But the city's just like when we go up to the rooftop at night and you just look out. Last night was a blood moon and we went up to try and see it and it was really cloudy and it was stormy. So we couldn't actually see the moon to see the blood moon that was happening last night. But the sky is just stunning. It's so beautiful to look at. Britain to Beyond. Hello, mate. How are you? Make sure everybody gives Britain to Beyond a little click on his name and follow him as well. Another UK YouTuber who has left with his family. This is, you know, this is Richard, right? Richard and his wife Carrie and his kids who we've met out here. When people used to say to me at the start of this channel, it's easy for you because it's just the two of you, it's just you and your wife. That's easy. I used to laugh, right? Because I would find it quite challenging leaving, right? You're going through a lot of like the mental aspect of leaving friends and family and selling things. And I'm like, this is supposed to be easy. And then I talked to another YouTuber out here, a Scottish guy called Daryl Solis, and he's on his own. And I would look at him and be like, it's easy, mate. You're just on your own, right? You just get up and go. I've got to think about my wife and she's got to think about me and all of the decisions that come as a couple. So people would say to me, "It's easy for you," and then I would use Richard as the example here and say, "Well, this guy's got 2 kids and a wife, and they're leaving, so you can say it's easy all you like, but there's the single guy, that's easy. There's the couple, that's easy, and then there's the family side. Oh, that's easy as well. Leaving a country is not easy. Leaving a country is not easy. Lauren, thanks so much for becoming a Super Plus, or welcome to Super Plus. I've no idea what that even is, but I'll find out afterwards. Oh, it's a member. Ah, thank you so much. Welcome. I appreciate that. What else we got? Storm yesterday night. I know we were up on the roof, right? And you're just looking at the clouds, and all you can see is the flash of the lightning and the storm. And sometimes you don't know if it's like Chinese New Year's just finished. 3rd of March, I think it finished, but there's been fireworks going off all the time. It's great to see. It's been very cool to walk around some of the malls and kind of see what's been going on. John, Decathlon store. I feel like I'm never out of Decathlon stores. In fact, I'll tell you the one store I am never out of. It's Watson's Chemist. It's in the mall nearby. Yvonne and I have been in for like magnesium. Then I bought some protein powder. Then we needed Tiger Balm because Yvonne had a bit of a sore elbow. We're never out that shop. The woman's like, every time we go in, hello, gets to know us, keeps asking us if we want a membership badge or a membership account. Decathlon store in Ultima, is it Ultima in Petaling Jai is much better than the one in KLCC. Yeah, I mean, those stores are they're like the future. See that whole thing when you put all your shopping in the basket and it just immediately rings up? That's like witchcraft, that stuff. Watson's is everywhere. Do you know, I've been trying to find a Watson's that's got a scale in it. I want to weigh myself because I'm trying to figure out. When I went to the hospital, they weighed me. I was kind of I was about 13 stone 9. 13 stone 9 when I was going through the whole hospital thing and swollen belly. When I went to the hospital on Tuesday of last week, they weighed me and I was 12 stone 9. Stone down, so I was pretty chuffed with that. And I'm trying to see if I can just trim a little bit here and there, and I'll make this update on Friday where I talk about 2 weeks of fitness and focus and eating, and see if my 48-year-old body is making any progress. I do love a walk around the malls. I do enjoy a wander around. Yvonne and I have had to really shift our mental attitude about malls because we go there, British people now are accustomed to going to the shops to get something. And you go in and you walk with purpose to get something. And the rest of Malaysia doesn't do that. The rest of Malaysia treats the mall as a social space to just hang out and just mull around. And we're always like, must get to the shops, must get the shopping in, must get this, must get that. And we've had to kind of adjust to hey, let's just go and hang out. And so now we're living quite close to one. We just go in the evenings. So tonight when we went for that bit of cake and a little drink, we just go for a wander. And I'm always get my steps in, have a wander around the mall. And that's why we're never out of Watson's, because we're let's go into Watson's and get what we need. So yeah, well, that's 50 minutes in, 55 minutes in. We've covered everything. Tax, we've talked about the canal walks, how that all started. People ask me if I'll timestamp these. It's going to be like this on the bottom of the screen with the timestamp if I was to do it. And by the way, I won't. I used to use software for it, but the software is $34.99 a month. And I'm I'm not spending $34.99 a month to put a timestamp on this. Laziness. But you got to prioritize your time with things. Right, what else have we got going on? Have I missed any other comments or anything I can... What did Yvonne's telling me? Simon Hedge. It's deleted. Message retracted. Oh, how my friend in Dubai is doing. Yeah, do you know, we messaged her when all of that started happening, and they were living in their basement for the night. They've got two small kids. So the kids were a little bit freaked out by it all. But she put an Instagram post up the last couple of days just thanking everybody, and they are doing fine. And they're saying, like, a lot of it's just kind of like the news, right? The news kind of over egging it a little bit, but they're fine. They're back in Dubai. They left for a couple of days to a nearby area to stay in a hotel. They were at the I remember the name of the hotel, the Palm or something, when it started happening, like when the first at the Atlantis. They were at the Atlantis at the pool when the first rocket came over, and so we're like, "Oof, let's get out of here." But yeah, they're doing well, thanks, Simon. I like her name's Lynn. She was just like straight on Instagram. Thanks everybody that's reached out to us. Don't worry, we're fine. We're not coming back to the UK. I don't know what's more dangerous right now. Out of all of that, right? Different topic, but hey ho. All right, what else have I got? The whole world's gone mad. That is exactly right. The whole world has gone mad. You've just got to pick the least maddest destination to try and live at any point, right? But yeah, I mean, Dubai, we enjoyed our trip there. I think we were going to try and go back for a little. Well, we were going to pass through on our way to Europe in a couple of months, but I think we'll need to rethink. And then, so I'll tell you what else, right? The Metallica put tickets on sale for the Sphere in Las Vegas, and it's taken me. It's taken me all my willpower not to buy tickets, but they are so expensive. I just I can't do it. I can't bring myself to spend the money. And also to travel from here in Kuala Lumpur, we kind of need to either go from here to the UK or to Hong Kong or Japan and then fly out that way. And it was like it's coming out at like I think £1,500 is the cheapest, and then a Vegas hotel, and then the Vegas tickets. And I was just like, this is going to end up costing like 5 grand to go see Metallica. Now, I want to go to the Sphere. I've said since the beginning, I want to go to that venue, but I can't do it because that's like months of living out here. And I would rather just spend that money sitting at the side of the pool and making content and enjoying myself than blowing it on like a 3-day trip. But I'll say this, right? There's a couple of things in all of that I just want to unpack a little bit. The first dates that they announced in the first like 6 dates is the 15th of October. That's Yvonne's birthday. So that kind of felt like, at Metallica in Vegas for Yvonne's birthday. Some people are going to freak out when I say this. I've seen Metallica 63 times. Yep. You heard that correctly. 63 times. I was supposed to see Metallica the 64th and 65th in May 2024. And the 64th was the day my dad died. So I was in the hospital with my dad, didn't go to the gig. And it's kind of sat with me a little bit, just lives with me. That's what is associated with that. So I kind of struggle with that. And then we were like, should we go? And we've priced it up and we haven't gone, and it's just not happened. Now, Richard, I was at that show. I was at that gig in Milton Keynes. In fact, without me going silent here for a minute or two, I've got a picture of the ticket on my phone because I'm a weirdo like that. I keep things like that because I like to catalog and document things and become a bit obsessive about t-shirt collections and all those kind of things. But there you go, mate. That's the ticket from me going to Milton Keynes Bowl, which you would have been at, 1993. And that one there is the first gig that I ever went to in October £15. Now, I'm just going to say this: £15. Do you know how much the tickets are for Vegas? Start at 500. $500. Start at $500. Anyway, we digress. But yes, 63 times I've seen Metallica over the years, all over the world, when I had a job. And now I have to make choice. I mean, Richard, we both suffer from the same affliction, the four-lettered thing, right? So we know. John, I'm bored with this now. I hear you, Michael. I hear you. Sometimes I bore myself, mate. Justin Richardson, anything you miss about the UK, would you ever say? Yeah, I mean, I could never say never about going back. When I've been making videos recently, I've been talking about this. Like, I don't know what happens in the next months, never mind what happens in the next years. Could I see myself going back? Yeah, I could see myself going back. A lot of things could happen that would see us back in the UK. Who knows? I would never say no. I don't hate it. I just wanted a break. I just wanted a change and to try and make money go further. And when I talk about, like 1,200 quid for rent, 180 quid for gas and electricity, 280 quid for council tax, I think about how much I can live for here and the quality of life. And for those that are saying in the chat, you're in KL or you're coming out to KL, you're living in Malaysia, you know what it's like. It's a nice place. It's relaxed. The weather's good. It's got a super calm vibe all the time to it. The cities are great. All nice aspects to it. But that's not to say never go back to UK. And just as a quick answer, do I miss anything? I miss those canal walks. I loved doing that on a regular day, walking up and down that canal, especially the animals, going to see the animals. Victoria, the house sitting now. We're actually going to be doing that a little bit sooner. So we're supposed to be going to Spain in August, but we're actually house sitting at the end of this month here in Kuala Lumpur. There's a live stream exclusive for you, but we've got our first house sit here where we're going to be looking after a property for 9 days with a dog and 2 cats. And Yvonne and I are super excited about it because we love pets. And Yvonne used to have a dog as a kid, and I had a few pets, a little hamster and all these little things. And we're looking forward to doing that. So we're going to be doing that in this month. When we move out of this apartment, we're going to go and manage this house. And then we're waiting to see if we get another, but let me bring it back slightly to music. Papa Roach, I don't know if anybody knows that, right? But Last Resort, they're playing here in Malaysia on the 29th. Like, what? I've checked gigs the whole time I've been here. No rock bands, no metal bands come here to Malaysia. And Papa Roach are coming. They're playing Singapore and they're playing Kuala Lumpur. And I think we might go. I think we might buy tickets and go because they're still available, and it's on in an arena here in Kuala Lumpur. So the day that we finish the house sit is the night that the gig is. So we might just book somewhere for a night or two. And then after that, we're thinking about going to Penang and then on to Langkawi. But depending on how long we've got left on our visa and whether we got accepted for another house stay, or we might go to Vietnam. Those are all in the list. Marina, I know, I'm glad somebody in here is like, yup, Papa Roach. Love Papa Roach. We went to see them in Vegas a couple of years ago, a big festival called Sick New World, and they were phenomenal. And when I saw they were on, I was like to Yvonne, we should go to that. We've both got like Metallica t-shirts. We should get them on and go to the gig and have a bit of a laugh out of it. So I think we'll go see Papa Roach. Global Passport guy, I rented a car and I'm driving here, and the drivers here are brutal. Do you know, I haven't quite thought about driving, but I certainly haven't thought about buying or hiring a motorbike like Thailand and all that. I read on the Reddit forums about how many accidents happen, and I've had enough issues with insurance without getting in a moped accident. But I think about that a lot, and I've been considering, because I think you can hire a car here with your British passport, and as long as it's short term, I think you can do it from what I've looked up. But we will see. Victoria, you found cinema tickets from the 1990s. Yep, you are in the same boat as me. I have a whole. This is every ticket of every concert I've ever been to. Yeah, look at that. Nirvana in Glasgow. No, can't see it. Every gig I've ever been to, there you go. Every concert I've ever been to, I've kept it. Because what that does is it gives me a little dopamine hit when I'm not around stuff. I can look at it on my phone, and then it gives me a calming sensation that I still have some of that stuff, because we've sold most stuff. But I still have things like my ticket collection from all the gigs. Right, any other questions that I've missed? Anything else that I can jump back to and cover? And you can fire up any questions you've got while I take a little drink of water. I haven't looked at what the stock market's doing tonight. Let me have a little look. SoFi 1890 opened well. GME, I think one to watch. I think GameStop is going to buy eBay, and maybe PayPal and eBay, and that would be wild. BMNR, the one that I've talked about before, that's been a tough watch recently. That's came back a little bit, 2166. What else? Rocket Lab, that's one that I hold options on just now. I've got a $45 strike price for May, I think, on Rocket Lab, and it's gone up to 72. So I'm comfortably above the $45 strike price. I could maybe close that out soon, just take the profit on that. That's one I'm watching. All right, what else? What else have we got going on? First gig was the Bluebells in Edinburgh Queen's Hall. Is that right, Justin? The Bluebells, 1984. I know the name of the Bluebells. I know the name, Edinburgh Queen's Hall. Yvonne's like, she's giving me that face like she thinks she knows as well. Bought £100 yesterday of SoFi. Do you know, was it yesterday? We bought 200 shares of SoFi yesterday when it was down. I think we bought it at like 17.97 or something. And that's the stock that I'm like, this is my real retirement money if they grow the way they're looking to grow. And here's what I'll say about SoFi. Again, I posted this a few days ago on the Patreon page, but the CEO on the 2nd of March, Monday, bought $1 million worth of the stock, his own stock, and I think his annual salary is 1.2 million. That gives you a scale as to how much cash that was that he was laying out. But he bought $1 million of his own stock on Monday, and the stock has been rated at somewhere around $45. The market's down right now, so it's a good chance. So that's why we bought 200 to put into it was in trading 212 stocks and shares ISA account. We bought it in, which we had money in. So I'm not breaking any rules. Having left the UK, the money was already in the ISA. We're not adding any new money to it, so that's okay. His name is Anthony Noto. It is indeed. It is Anthony Noto. That's the company I've been buying and holding for the last 4 years, since it was, is it longer than that? Was it 2020? When it was a SPAC called IPOE before it became SoFi. What else have we got? Last gig was a band called Glass Animals. Yep, I've heard of the Glass Animals. Cliff Richard, 86 in Brighton. Oof, that's going back a bit there, eh? Joe Law, hey dude, sorry if you've answered this. No issue, mate. That's what the whole point of these live things is, that I can answer anything that pops up. So no need to apologise for asking this stuff. How long do you plan on staying month to month? So we typically book 28 days or 31 days. That seems that kind of works out quite often the most cost effective way. Um, Now, if you have a bad experience, people will say always book a couple of days and then decide if you're staying longer. That is a very worthy and proper strategy. I find that a little stressful because I don't really want to get somewhere and then move again. And we've had really good experiences, just one bad one, and we resolved it and moved on within a couple of days. But we typically book 28 or 31 days to try and get the best price. Um, Again, I'll mention again on Friday, we're sending out a document to everybody that's in the newsletter subscribers. I'll put the details in this post once this video live is finished. But all my other videos, there's always a link to the newsletter. And in that document we'll give away is every place that we've stayed, who we've booked. Things to look for when you're booking: use a VPN if you're in the UK, because in Malaysia, it tends to work out cheaper. If you're in the UK, turn a VPN on, change it to Malaysia. Poland is really good. Romania is really good if you change it to those territories. You can see a difference in price sometimes of like up to £100 for a booking by just not being in the UK. I also always pay in the local currency, so ringgit. So when I'm booking here, I have booking.com set to ringgit, and then it gives me the final price, and I let Revolut do the exchange for me, because if you let booking.com do the exchange rate for you, the exchange is ridiculous. The ads can add an extra 50, 60 pounds onto the cost. So we typically just stay a month and then we move location because we get bored. We get bored of like being in the same place, and we just like something different. So we kind of jump around a little bit, but typically 28 days, 31 days. We get 3 months here in Malaysia before we need to leave because we're on a travel visa, a tourist visa, sorry. And I'm always told, oh, you need to be careful with that because, they'll stop you eventually. And like, we've not had any issues. We know people that have been living here for 3, 4 years that leave. The question always comes like, how long should you leave for? We typically leave for like a month. That's what we've been doing now, going to Thailand for a month. Some people do it for like a week. Some people go to Singapore. You normally, little bit of advice, you normally have to have an onward travel already booked. What we do is when we're like, for example, we were in Thailand, we're coming to KL, you should have an onward travel from KL. We book the bus to Singapore, costs about 20 ringgit. And then if you're not going to use that bus, you can cancel it up until 3 days before the bus is going to depart. So we would fly into KL, have a bus ticket to go to Singapore, and then cancel it if we need to. Yeah, I use Revolut, the metal account. It's not the top tier one, which is like 40 quid a month or something. It's the 14.99 a month. I use that. That really works well. Joe, thanks, man. Love watching your journey. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Monthly in Italy for 8 months. Yeah. But I mean, I guess if the whole finding a place like Richard that's in here, I know he had an issue a couple of days ago with an Airbnb booking that he got to, had some problems, and we've had one place that we've had some issues. Everywhere else has been the accommodation availability in Malaysia is just like they're building new complexes all the time. There's so many rooms. What you need to look for, right, and this is something that we've just really learned, is that there are multiple operators often in buildings. So when you go into booking.com, like somebody mentioned earlier on, the Paxton Suites, right, in Empire City. Paxton's is the name of the building, but you can have different operators. So when you go to booking.com, if you type in Paxton, you'll see different prices from like 300 quid, 400 quid, 800 quid. The prices can be wild, but they're different operators and different sizes of rooms. So we just read through, like, is this a good operator? Is there good reviews? We look at that kind of stuff, and then we just book, right? And like I say, we've had one issue and Booking.com resolved it pretty quickly, and we were out of there and moved to a week stay somewhere else before the one that we're in now. This one we paid £340 for 28 days to stay here. And then we're going to do the house sit, which is free. Doesn't cost anything. We're going to house sit a dog, 2 cats for nothing for a British couple who are leaving. We did that through a website called House Sitters, trustedhousesitters.com. We opened an account. You had to pay to be a member. We paid. We've applied for a bunch. We got turned down because people are like, you haven't got any reviews. And then we got accepted by a couple here. So we're going to live in a beautiful apartment right next to KLCC Park for 9 days. And then we haven't got anything else booked beyond that. We'll wing it. Oh, hello, Black Circle. I was, do you know, that's weird. I was just telling Yvonne tonight that I saw your name on Daryl Solis's channel, and I was fairly sure you used to pop up on earlier videos of mine. And the reason that all came around to stitch it together was that we were talking about Da Nang, and I think I saw you posting to Daryl Solis saying Da Nang's got quite expensive just now. There's been a bit of an influx, and I said to Yvonne, I saw a guy called Black Circle, or a name called Black Circle, that posted on Daryl Solis, and now here you are here. Isn't that a little bit of serendipity? You pop up in here as well. So yes, I think I saw you posting about that. Maybe I just made that bit up about Da Nang, but I saw your name. Where are you staying now, John? I try and not, like, just for like safety reasons, I try not to say where we're at right at that point. I post about it once we've left, just because the internet's full of mental cases. And I can tell you that because 1 million views on Instagram this week showed me a lot of those mental cases. But yeah, it's nice apartment. We'll cover it when we leave, share the details. But there's, like, honestly, like, these are not like, we're not struggling to find these prices. If you want to be in KL city centre, you're going to be like £500, 600, 700, right? Because you're in the city centre. There can be tourist tax added on top of it. But see, if you just come out a little bit, you're going to find apartments for 250, 300, 400 for a month's stay, 28 days, 31 days. It doesn't vary so much. And you're going to get an apartment. We're in a small studio apartment, but we don't need any other space. We've got a kitchen area, bathroom, shower, a bed, TV, dining table, seats, wardrobe. That's kind of all we need. And then you've got swimming pool, gym, all the rest of it. But they're like, I'm not giving you a price that's impossible to find. You have a look on Booking.com. We're in the next city over from KL. We're about 15, 20 minutes on a taxi ride away, or 8 minutes in the, I call it the monorail, but it's not a monorail, but the overhead rail into KL. Black Circle, I struggled in Penang to find something. That's. I thought you had posted about that, because Yvonne was just having a look the last couple of days and was saying maybe like £700 for 40. That was 45 days. We were looking for 45 days, and it was coming up at like 700 quid. And I was like, well, it's not the worst. Not the worst. I was kind of expecting it to be cheaper, to be honest, but that's why your name popped up, and I was talking about you tonight when we were in the mall. Right, what else have we got going on? Finally found an apartment, moved into it today. Very happy. $285 a month. Is that just for the month, or is that have you booked long term? Have you got like 3 months or 6 months or something? Do I prefer PJ or KL? Do you know, I kind of, they both have like ups and downs, qualities about them. I liked being in KL at the park, especially around the Petronas Towers and all that, right? Because it's super cool. It's just like, we lived on a canal in Northampton for 13 years. Suddenly you find yourself underneath the Petronas Towers and all these skyscrapers. You can't help but be like, oh. But there's so many tourists around as well. It can get a bit, when you're trying to get around, being that British mentality of trying to get somewhere quickly. But I like the city, and here in Petaling Jaya, do you know, see this place we're in now, we have just like been quiet, just quiet life. Go to the pool, go to the gym, have a bit of dinner. That's it. Like, we're so boring, but that's just kind of how we live. Like, I've got a mate arriving Friday, Sunday. I've got a mate arriving on Sunday, right? I used to DJ. He used to be a club promoter and a DJ, and he's in Vietnam just now, and he's coming here on Sunday. So we've kind of lived quietly because we know my pal's coming in, and we're like, oh, we'll go for dinner and we'll go hang out, and it'll be good to catch up. I think he's here for like 10 days or something. And then we go and do this house sit. So I kind of know things are going to be busy and there's like stuff coming up. So see when that happens, I kind of deprioritize the time before it and just think, well, we'll kind of do nothing for a few weeks. And by nothing, I mean just go to the gym, watch a movie in the evening, make a bit of food. Like we've eaten a lot in here. There's a village grocers opened nearby us. We've been going to the village grocers and eating, bringing stuff back and making things. Yeah, quiet is best, right? It's just like we then just think that we're kind of. It's not that we're like trying to eat beans and toast and all that. Somebody posted that as a comment, like you're living a little bit, not eating beans on toast. We're just quite comfortable at having like super quiet days of like we get up in the morning, have a coffee, go to the gym. I've been going to the gym sometimes twice a day. I've always had this passion to be able to like have the opportunity to go and train and not have a job. And this is the first time I've ever had a gym like in the building and I haven't got really anything else to do with my day. Make a video, hang out, it's 1 a.m, right? So I'm not going to the gym now, but do a live stream now, go and have a bit of cake, but go to the gym and just take your time. I got on the treadmill and I do like 40 minutes, headphones in, do my 9,000 steps, then go and work out a little bit, do a few exercises, go and get a swim in, sit out in the sun for an hour, and then we come back to the room at like 4 o'clock, have some early dinner, go for a walk in the evening, and then watch a film and hang out. And that's it. That's my day done. And I'm like, bliss. Don't have to think about a job. Don't have to think about, oh no, I'm not making my sales targets. What am I going to do? I need to sell more products. I don't have to think about any of that. And then out the back of all of that, I start to get ideas. So I'll be lying in the bed with Yvonne watching telly, and then I'll hop up and I'll put a t-shirt on and I'll get the camera. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, going to make a video. I've got an idea. I'm going to post something to Patreon. I'm going to make a quick short for the members on YouTube or whatever, or an Instagram post or something. Like that's what days look like. It's gone from being like wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, have a coffee, and you're like, right, I've got to start business calls. Going to start business meetings from like 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and emails and everything else. That's all just disappeared. Go to the gym and have long walks on the beach every day. That's the one thing that I want to do about Da Nang is that beach. I saw Daryl's video when he was over there, and I was like, the one thing that Petaling Jaya and KL, the only thing that's missing is the beach. Your routine is marketing, sales in Europe sounded heavy duty. It wasn't always like that. Do you know, like, see the whole career progression thing, right? I mean, it just starts to become monotonous in the end and starts to become wearing. And yeah, it was very heavy at the end. And also, I mean, I don't want to shy away from it, right? At the end, I was struggling with my own ill health, was struggling to deal with my dad being gone. the very early days of that, trying to figure out what life was like after that, and then also do the job at the same time. And I was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And the thought of going back into it, I'm talking to some friends of mine back home just now who are also now going through redundancy, and I just totally feel for them. And all I can say is like, it might not be the worst thing that's ever happened to you. I mean, I say that now, like what, 14 months after it happened, well, it was last February that I finished on gardening leave. So I'm a month beyond a year of the gardening leave part of it. It's easy for me to sit now and say, oh, well, you don't know what's at the other side of it. At the time, it felt shitty. But it takes time and all of this to recover from it, right? Like all of these things, it takes time to recover from it. Yvonne is now 1 month from her redundancy and is finding her feet, and the same feelings that you get, which is like rejection, and it's little things like you don't get a leaving night when you go through redundancy. You work with people for like years and then you're gone. Like I was kind of out the door, and Yvonne's been the same. She's been on this sabbatical and then made redundant whilst on a sabbatical. So you don't get things like the buys, the see you later to people you've worked with. You're just gone, and you might get a text message or whatever. That can be feels quite cold, quite cold to like deal with. You can't allow a job to define you exactly. It's like, again, it's like when you're so in it, right? And I think about 30 odd years of structure of like companies, and like I said earlier, CEOs and business structure, and you're kind of in this organization, right? You're in that job structure, and then suddenly you're out of it. But you don't know what you don't know at the time. And then you're out of it, and then suddenly you've got to try and, like for me, it's like building new things now, where it's like, oh, I'll make this document, or I'll start this channel. Pies to Peaks. What a great name, Pies to Peaks. Hey, John, are you both fully invested in the idea, or do you feel it maybe one? No, well, I can't. I mean, Yvonne's sitting here, right? She's reading the text at the same time. No, I think we're both fully invested in getting out of here. Yvonne, like people always ask me, like, I had the idea of doing this channel as a couple, and Yvonne was like, I'm not really into that. Right. So I'm sales, Yvonne worked in IT. I worked in sales, Yvonne worked in IT. That gives you an idea of the people we are, right? But Yvonne's been working on something herself recently to kind of talk about this experience, and we'll share a bit more once it's kind of developed a little bit more. But no, I think like we both sit at times and we're like, have we made the right decision? And is you like, do you think about home and all of those kind of things? And both of us have went, I haven't once thought about going back to the UK. Like, I'll tell you like a little funny bit of all of this, right? Sometimes you can get a little stressed over things, right? Like, I'll give you an example. You get cleaning services to the room, right? She's already laughing. She's sitting right next to me and she's laughing, right? You get cleaning services that come to the room, and you book it on a WhatsApp. You message them and you get it like every couple of days. Hey, can you come and freshen the room, change the sheets, do all that kind of thing, bring you fresh towels. And every time we've stayed in a different apartment, it's been a very slightly different process with a very slightly different customer service attached to it. And like today, Yvonne was texting him saying, can we have new towels? Now you get 2 bath towels and then a bath mat. And they messaged back and said, we can't give you the bath mat. You need to pay for that. And Yvonne was like, what? We're here for a month. Give us a new bath mat. So they messaged back and said, no problem. Fair enough. We'll give you the bath mat. So about 5 minutes later, the door rang, and it was a person to bring the towels and the bath mat, but they only had the 2 towels. And Yvonne went, This is so stressful. It's like they just how do they always get it wrong? And I was laughing because I was like, is it 7 a.m. waking up for work, opening your laptop, where you're dealing with all of the reports that you manage that have not been delivered this morning because the servers crashed over during the night stressful? Or is it the guy's going to come back to the door in 2 minutes' time with a bath mat stressful? She was like, shut up and just let me have a minute here. And then I honestly, not a word of a lie, 2 seconds later, the door was like, bing bong. And the guy was like, there's your mat. And I was like, oh my God, what will we do? We must have stress because of the bath mat. Those are the kind of things that we talk about and laugh about whether, this is all working out for us. That's why people say it's easier when you're just on your own. It's easier for you because you're a couple. It's easy for you because you've got kids. Oh man, just little funny things like that, right? When you got to weigh things up, like how stressful is something really? Is it just right now? It's just a wee bit fiery, but in the grand scheme of things, it means nothing, or is it? Um, you need to fix those reports because the servers crashed and a whole company's like emailing you, Yvonne, you need to fix this, or John, you've not delivered your sales numbers for the quarter. Stressful. I'll let you guys be the judge of all of that. Right. That's 90 minutes. That's got to be enough of me wobbling away, right? That's got to be enough chatting. I'll say this. Thank you so much to the various donations that came through. That is incredible. Omar, I appreciate you. To the other folk that came through, I greatly appreciate the coffees and the little bit of dinner and everything else, and to people that have signed up on the membership. Any of this other information, Patreon, there's about 60 videos posted over there already. If you want the 27-page document, which talks about SIM cards, how we booked hotels, visa information, just a complete download of everything I've learned. I'm not a travel guru, just here's what I've learned in a document. I'll send it out on Friday free in the weekly newsletter. You can sign up for that. And I'll do another live chat if people think it's of value and people want it. And on Friday, I'll do a quick health update, like how things are going. But beyond all of that, thanks everybody for being here. There was about 60 people here, 47 just now, and that's amazing. I really appreciate people coming and chatting and sharing. This is like see, when I sit down to do these things, I always kind of expect there's going to be a voice comes back, and then I realize it's just me talking, and it can be quite weird at times. But thanks for coming into the chat and not making it weird. Be weird if it was just me sometimes. I mean, that happens when I make a video, right? It's just me talking sometimes, and I'm like, God, this is weird. I did, do you know, Marina was in here earlier. I did a Zoom, and my first Zoom call, which is in the Patreon thing. I did my first Zoom call, and I said to Yvonne, what if nobody comes? I was like, I'll just have to sit there for 30 minutes talking. And then Andy and Marina came in, and we had a great chat for like half an hour, 40 minutes or something. We were just all sitting on a little Zoom, and it reminded me of work calls, but in a better way, not like having to log on and talk to Germans that I used to speak to in my last business, and Italians and French and Spanish, and listen to all the accents. This was just the three of us sitting having a chat, so that was great. All right, that's enough. That's enough for tonight. It's gone 1:30. That's pretty good going. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I appreciate it more than you will all ever probably know. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever time it is, wherever you are. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.